Let's get started. So lie down carefully. See that the chest is open. Once you're down on the bolster, then lift the buttocks slightly to lengthen the buttocks away from the back waist. See that the shoulders are descending evenly on either side of the bolster. Stretch one leg out at a time, extending through the heels. Take your hands and lift your head and just make sure that everything is centered on your mat. And then bring your head back down and readjust the shoulders. Release the hands, soften the palms, soften the fingers. Let the limbs be heavy into the floor. Soften the inner elbows. Release the outer thighs. Have a feeling of the limbs anchoring you to the earth. So the bones of the arms and legs, they're part of the earth element. So let the bones drop heavily into the floor. So there's a feeling of groundedness through the arms and legs. And that feeling of groundedness through the arms and legs will hopefully help you to feel some lightness in the trunk. So from a guna standpoint, the arms and legs right now are tamasic, so that the trunk can have a little bit of rajas and a lot of sattva. But still a little bit of rajas because we need to exert a little bit of energy to keep that trunk expansive. Abdomen soft. So the bolster is actually doing a lot of the work for us so that the lift of the chest is coming with support. So you don't have to exert a lot of effort for the expansiveness into the chest. But also don't just collapse in the pose. Don't go to sleep in the pose. Have a little boost in the trunk so that the chest region remains broad. Feel the length from the side ribs to the armpits. Feel the rotation from the back of the armpit to the front of the armpit. Feel the front of the armpit lifting and coiling over the top of the shoulder to keep that chest very much open. And right now, just soft, natural resting breath. I'm calling it a soft, natural resting breath, but there is a little bit of lift, a little extra lift to the breath by virtue of the bolster. So the abdomen is at an angle. You can feel the abdomen is at a 45-degree angle, and that is to facilitate the movement of the diaphragm and the movement of the ribs and the natural lift of the abdomen back toward the back body in order to assist in the movement of the ribs and the movement of the diaphragm. When we talk about the deep breath in pranayama, we're really talking about the breath coming from down low. So it's not just an expansion of the chest, but really using all the respiratory muscles all through the trunk so that the breath can originate toward the lower region of the trunk and the bottom lungs can fill. The top lungs are easy to fill, but how do we get the bottom lungs to fill? In order to get the bottom lungs to fill, we need to use some of the respiratory muscles in the abdominal region. So with a focus on the inhales today, first, begin with the awareness of the diaphragm moving up and down. So the diaphragm moves down to initiate the inhale. It creates like a vacuum effect to pull the air through the nostrils. Follow that rhythm. Before you start manipulating the breath, just follow the rhythm of the diaphragm. Pulling down to suction the air through the nose into the lungs, and then releasing upward to empty the lungs. Now, following that rhythm of the diaphragm, on your next inhale, assist the diaphragm in pulling down a little bit more by slightly rolling the upper arm bones out, lifting across the collarbones, and moving the abdomen up and back. So elongating the inhales just a little bit. Now notice that once you start that elongated inhale, it takes on a momentum of its own. So you don't have to force it. Don't be aggressive in trying to slow down the inhale. When you start to elongate the inhale, then it's like opening the valve so that it fills up on its own practically. And then normal exhales. Let the exhales be very relaxed, very soft, relaxed exhales. Don't do anything special with the exhales. Just focus on the inhales for now. So picture the diaphragm pulling down, the air being pulled through the nostrils into the lungs. And so try this with me. So on your next inhale, pull the diaphragm down, inhale for 2 counts, and then just let the breath spread. Don't keep inhaling beyond 2 counts. Feel how the inhale grows. Even if you're not actively breathing in, even if you're not actively increasing your tidal volume, that's what the amount of air that you're taking in, that's called the tidal volume. You don't need to increase the tidal volume for the breath to expand. Notice that. Continue in this manner for a while. So inhaling for a count of 2 and then letting it spread. Watch it grow. Watch it grow on its own. And then normal exhale. So what you are noticing, I believe, is so the difference between air and ether. So you're taking in air, but then the air dissipates into an etheric form that fills your chest cavity. But it's not like you have to keep taking in more air. It's like the air turns into ether and turns into prana. And as you inhale, the air that you take in and the ether, let it fill your bottom lungs. So all the way, the sides of the chest, the sides of the ribs, all the way down to the bottom of the lungs, which is like the lower ribs. The bottom of the sternum. Feel that expansion. Do a few more rounds of this, feeling the expansiveness of the chest. Just a 2-count breath and then watching, pausing and watching the breath grow and expand. Even without increasing the tidal volume. All right, do 3 more cycles. And then return to your resting breath. When you return to your resting breath, just let the abdomen effortlessly rise and fall. Let yourself down regulate, because working on the inhales, it's a slight up regulation. And so in after you finish that pranayama, this is Abhyantara Viloma, Abhyantara Ujjayi stage 3. So just let your body and your nervous system come back to your resting state. Then fold your hands in, bend your legs, roll to your side, rest on your side. And then sit up when you're ready. Alice, you might want to adjust your camera to angle a little bit downward. Okay, so sitting on your bolster. Okay, that's better. Sitting on your bolster, have a couple of blankets. All right. And let's do the right leg, then the left leg. And support your thighs. Optional blanket on your lap, which I'm quite fond of. So support your thighs. Yeah. Okay. We're going to work on Viloma. We're going to keep working on Abhyantara, the inhales, in Viloma this time. So we're going to do some cycles of Abhyantara Viloma. This is Viloma stage 4. Okay. And normal, relaxed, soft, relaxed exhales. So now first I want to talk about Jalandhara Bandha a little bit more. So press your hands down into the blankets, lift the sides of the chest up, push your hands down, and then roll your shoulders back and down. Do like a couple of rolls so that you can feel like, is there, like right here, I feel like my shoulders are down, but actually I could keep rolling and they could come down lower. Yeah. And then lift the sides of the chest more. Good. Now, this open chest has to stay when you bring your head down. Push down with your hands a little bit into the blanket to keep lifting the chest up. And then look up a little bit in order to move the cervical spine from back to front. Think and bring your attention to the first few vertebrae in the thoracic spine. That needs to move from back to front. Then from here, as you exhale, lift the chest higher and bring the chin down. So on the exhale, lift the chest, bring the head down, sink the head down. Good. Now check in with your shoulders and make sure that the shoulders have not rolled forward. The shoulders have to actively roll back. At the same time, careful not to push your lumbar forward. The lumbar has to stay broad and slightly back so that you're not hardening your kidney band. Okay, from here, exhale completely. I'm bringing my head up so I can watch you. Exhale completely. Palms up. You can do palms up or palms down. I'm going to leave it up to you. Definitely have your palms down if you feel like your fingers and thumbs are hardening. Sometimes when we're exerting effort in the breath, the hands get sort of grippy, especially the thumbs. So the thumbs have to fall toward the center, fall toward the index finger, because they usually, when we're tense, the thumbs go out, like a hitchhiker. Okay, exhale completely. And now take a slow, soft inhale and a normal exhale, just to prepare. All right. So I'm going to talk you through the first few cycles. Okay. After your next exhale, inhale, abdomen up and back, pause. Now just take a little sip of air and feel the sides of the chest lift more, and pause. And just take a little sip of air and feel the prana rising all the way to the collarbones, and pause. And then take a soft, relaxed exhale. Soft, relaxed exhale, unmediated exhale. Take a resting breath if you need to. Then inhale, abdomen up and back. The diaphragm pulls down, pause. Inhale through the middle ribs, pause. Inhale all the way up to the top of the chest. Feel the shoulders move back and the shoulder blades move in. Pause, and then exhale, soft, relaxed exhale. Now just take a resting breath or two while I talk a little bit more about what we're doing today. So I want you to explore the expansion of the chest without grossly increasing the tidal volume. So that's why on the second and third stage, just a little sip of air, and then feel the prana spreading during the pause. I'll talk you through the next stage, the next round. Exhale completely. Inhale, abdomen up and back, pause. Just a little sip of air, feel the middle chest expand, pause. Just a little sip of air, feel the top chest expand, pause, and a normal exhale. So what's happening is in the second and third stages, you're just taking a little bit of air, but really what you're doing is you're pushing the air down to the bottom lungs. And we're talking about the deep breath as the bottom lungs filling, breathing from the bottom lungs. Okay. Continue on your own for 4 more cycles. 4 more cycles. You could do continuous cycles or you could do resting breaths in between. Abhyantara Viloma. And don't try to take big breaths. Instead, let the breath spread. Let the air turn into ether and prana. Feel that expansion of the prana without necessarily gulping large amounts of air. Feel the difference between the air and the ether and the prana. In between cycles, check to make sure you're still at your maximum height. Check to make sure the spine has not dropped. Nazanin, you can relax the bottom ribs a little bit. Let the bottom ribs move back a little bit, not to harden your bottom ribs. After you finish your 4th cycle, return to normal breathing. And keeping your eyes closed, bring your head up when you're done. You can turn your palms down on the blanket, and when you're done, and just sit quietly with the head balanced at the top of the spine. Okay, so now at this point is when, you know, the people who needed to leave would leave, and then people who could stay, we would do another round. Okay, but for now, go ahead and release the legs. And lie back down. Okay, so you could lie down with on your back with the bolster across your thighs. This is kind of a nice way to do Shavasana. At the end of pranayama is to just rest the bolster on the thighs, and it helps the legs to completely release, and hopefully that will help your abdomen to also soften and release. So here, observe the resting breath. So when we work on the inhales, when we work on the Ujjayi and Viloma inhales, it's upregulating, it's stimulating. It's stimulating the sympathetic nervous system. The exhales are more about stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system. In general, these more stimulating pranayamas are done in the morning, and the pacifying, quieting pranayamas are done in the evening. So here in Shavasana, you probably will, if it's evening for you, you will want to quiet yourself down so you can have a good night's sleep. If it's morning for you, then you probably want that little boost of energy to give you some pep in the morning. So, but if you feel like it's too much pep, if it feels like it was too much stimulation for the sympathetic nervous system, then you could do some rounds of Brahmari here. So, or if it's evening and you're going to go to bed soon, do a few cycles of Brahmari as you rest in Shavasana, because that will be very soothing, quiet, and restful. Even if it's morning for you, but if you're feeling agitated or anxious, then Brahmari is your go-to. So to remind you, Brahmari is when you hum on the exhales. There's many ways to do it. But basically, it's just a soft, gentle hum on your exhales. All right, I'm going to let you finish out Shavasana on your own. Get the inhales and exhales to be more or less even. Abdomen completely soft, throat completely soft. And hope you have a wonderful day and see you all very soon.